This journey takes us to the middle of Italy. Coming from the north, our path leads first to Emilia-Romagna, then to Tuscany, to Umbria, and back again. It will go high and deep down. We'll reveal that already. Our first destination is Parma. When you hear the name, you probably first think of Parmesan and Parma ham. But more on that later. The city was founded around 200 years before Christ, on the right bank of the Parma River. The city center is decorated with Romanesque buildings. The former casino became today's post office. Frescoes decorate part of the walls. In the historic center of Parma is the Parco della Pilota. A monument here commemorates the partisan fight against fascism in the 1944. Behind it we reach the Palazzo della Pilota. The former Hazor Palace was never completed, and was partially destroyed in the Second World War. Today you can visit the Museum of Antiquities here. One of Italy's most famous composers was Giuseppe Verdi. The monument is a symbol of the enduring veneration of the arts in the city. On the opposite side, it goes to the core of the old town. But beware! It is essential to observe the access restrictions. If you drive just 1 meter in, you already have, thanks to video surveillance, a tuber of over €100 on your cheek. There are also some shops in the old town that offer the famous Parma ham. Langherano, a good 20 kilometers south of Parma, is the main town for the production of the ham. The pigs must come from northern and central Italy and be at least 9 months old. The thighs, which weigh around 15 kilograms, are lightly rubbed with salt by the salt master. This is important for a mild taste. The maturation period is at least 14 months. Then an independent inspector pierces with a pointed horse bone at precisely defined points and tests in particular the smell and consistency. By the way, the entrance to Langherano marks the Torre-Chiara Castle, which can also be visited. We are still on the road in the old town of Parma. The Baptistery of San Giovanni is an 8-sided sacred building made of pink marble with medieval paintings and carvings, where baptisms take place. Right next to it is the Cathedral of Parma. The famous Romanesque cathedral has a massive interior full of works of art, and a striking dome with frescoes. Parmesan cheese is offered in a sandwich shop. About 13.5 liters of milk are needed for 1 kilogram of cheese. A loaf of Parmigiano Reggiano therefore requires about 520 liters of milk. After the 1-year minimum maturation period, each individual cheese wheel is tested by experts. In a high-quality cheese, no holes must form in the dough during ripening. There are different age groups, from at least 12 up to 72 months of maturation. You can buy the cheese here, or order it directly in the guest room together with ham.
With the plate porter, some bread, so culaccia, coppa, Parma ham, salami with the skin, so the game is to peel it, mustard or fruit, it will be spicy for the Parmesan cheese, so cool, honey with the pecorino cheese, bread and some culatello you add. Okay?
It tasted good, and of course much better than with us. Our journey now continues southwards to Tuscany. With over 240 kilometers, the Arno is the largest river in Tuscany. Just before it flows into the Tyrrhenian Sea, it flows through Pisa. We reach Piazza del Duomo. The Square of Miracles is the Cathedral Square of Pisa. The Leaning Tower of Pisa is probably the most famous inclined building in the world, and the city's landmark. The subsoil consisted of loamy morass and sand, which had deformed under the weight. As a result, the tower stump began to tilt towards the southeast. Construction was stopped for 100 years. Then a solution was found. The last 4 floors have now been added with a slight angle of inclination, which attentive observers can see well. The tower can be visited. For €25 you can climb the 200 steps to reach the bell level. You have a total of 15 minutes to do this. Then you have to be down again. In the year 1063, the construction of the cathedral began on alluvial soil. It can also be visited, even free of charge. However, this requires a ticket for the desired time slot. Together with St. Mark's Basilica in Venice, the cathedral is one of the first monumental buildings in medieval Italy. In a side chapel, St. Reina, once a monk and patron saint of Pisa, is laid out. Famous Pisans were buried in the courtyard of the Camposanto Monumentale, a rectangular cemetery with a circumferential cloister. The baptistry was built as a supplement to the cathedral. The baptistry is 54 meters high and has a circumference of over 100 meters. This makes it the largest baptismal church in Christian history. We now continue to look around Pisa, but will return here again in the evening. The Piazza dei Cavalieri is considered the historic center. It was commissioned by the Medici, an Italian dynasty from which 2 queens also emerged. Giorgio Vasari, the court painter and court architect, planned the plaza. We cross the Arno and reach a shopping street in a pedestrian zone. Tuttomondo, The Whole World, is a 1989 mural by American artist Keith Haring. The mural shows 30 characters in a cartoon-like style. We are in Plaza Vittorio Emanuele II. A monument commemorates the first king of Italy, who reigned around 180 years ago. The new citadel is an ancient fortress in Pisa. It was created around 600 years ago. On our tour we reach the Arno again. Next to the Palazzo Vecchio de' Medici, Giuseppe Mazzini stands on a pedestal. His political goal was the right of self-determination of the European peoples. It is late afternoon. The Square of Miracles is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Many people raise their hands strangely in the air. Pictures are taken to document that they want to keep the tower from falling over. Now is the best light for this. We too take such a souvenir photo. After there is not much left to see in Pisa, in our opinion, we set off for Lucca. The town is located northeast of Pisa and is said to be one of the prettiest in Tuscany. Since the 15th century, a 4-kilometer-long city wall has surrounded the old town. It is 10 meters high and 30 meters thick. We enter the city either through a tunnel or one of the 6 city gates. The ancient roots of Lucca go back to the pre-Roman period of the Etruscans in the 8th century BC. And even today the city center is characterized by Roman medieval architecture. On behalf of Napoleon's sister Eliza Bonaparte, the Piazza Grande, the largest square in Lucca, was created. Today the office of the state government is located here. In front of the historic Opera House, a statue commemorates Giuseppe Garibaldi, and pays tribute to him as a national hero of Italy's independence and reunification. Now, in the early morning, it is still empty in the old town. So it is very pleasant to explore the alleys. In Lucca you can also climb towers, such as the Torre dell'Or. We remember, in Pisa the visit to the Leaning Tower cost €25, and you only had 15 minutes. That was too short for us. The ascent of the Torre dell'Or, the clock tower, costs €8, and you can stay as long as you want. It goes up high. Ascend to a height of 50 meters. The clock tower is surrounded by the legend of a woman who sold her soul to the devil, and was captured by him when she tried to stop the clock. After 250 steps we have reached the top. In the Middle Ages, there were over 250 towers here as symbols of power. Today, only a few remain. One of them is the steeple of the cathedral. Construction began around 960 years ago. However, it was not finished until 180 years later. Around noon it gets noticeably fuller. The first tour groups arrive. The alleys are filling up more and more. So it's time for us to drive on. Until now we were not aware that Pisa also has a port. Well, more of a small marina, a good 15 kilometers west of the city, where the Arno also flows into the sea. Marina di Pisa is a quiet beach resort. Next to the harbor there are some restaurants, hotels, and beaches. So if you want to cool down on hotter days, you can quickly drive here.